Welcome to the ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast Show. Over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it is just you as a listener that I can barely begin to express how much I appreciate you tuning in. As I know you have a lot of options. As Listen Notes, the podcast platform reports, there are about 168.9 million plus available podcast show episodes you could choose from, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. As indeed it is just me on the podcast outside for now, all substance, no muss, no fuss, no fluff, no fancy or flashy high production inserts, just straight to the key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens, hence the ChristiTutionalist Politics show name. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and last name is spelled L-E-N-A-R-D, author, co-host the Savage Unfiltered podcast, and for purposes of this show, most notably, blogger for thelibertybeacon.com, which most of the content for this show will be derived, food for thought you can then delve deeper into via my online articles and reach your own conclusion. And as Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show! Season 1, Episode 17, The Leftists' 7 Ds. Dodge, deflect, distract, distort, deny, deceive, discredit. Let me repeat them in case if I missed one of them. Let me check my notes, make sure I got this right. Dodge, deflect, distract, distort, deny, deceive, discredit. I think you understand this. And before I go further, full disclosure, an admission. Normally, I would have written my thelibertybeacon.com piece before recording the show. But this time, I'm actually recording this segment while only a rough draft, bits and pieces of the article are together. So as we go through this, it will help shape the article. And also, this, again, like last week, is going to be a shorter segment, so I highly urge you to go to thelibertybeacon.com. If you're seeing this in the YouTube or Rumble at J. Leonard Detroit behind-the-scenes sneak peek, it will be coming out Saturday. Look for it then. If you're hearing this via Buzzsprout, the article and Season 1, Episode 17 of ChristiTutionalist Politics will be both dropping Saturday morning, the same basic time. Go to thelibertybeacon.com after the show. Check out that article. There will be a whole lot more there that we don't discuss here. So, as I've said before, the show and the articles are meant to complement each other, not be duplication of each other. So it is important to do both. If you're not catching this the Saturday in October that it drops, then go to thelibertybeacon.com. In the search field, put Joseph M. Leonard. Again, it's not Leonard, not French. It's Leonard without an O. That will then, of course, help you find all my articles, the most recent being at the top of the list, so that it's easier to find. Search function there is great. If you're catching this midweek, my article will have rolled off the front page of thelibertybeacon.com, and you can search for me. But the Leftist 7 Ds. I already said them. I'm going to say them again. I'm trying to get this to catch, obviously, right? I'm entering the 7 leftist Ds into the nomenclature. Dodge, deflect, distract, distort, deny, deceive, discredit. Especially that last one. This is in part based on an older beforeitsnews.com where I am at jlernerdetroit there, titled, "When They Can't Refute Your Points, They Engage in the Usual Distractions or Deflections, like blaming or trying to discredit Saul Alinsky ad hom attack style, either the author, me in this case, of a piece, or the site like beforeitsnews.com or thelibertybeacon.com that a piece may be on." And let's just be upfront and honest. Now, beforeitsnews.com has everything from ultra left to ultra right. So it's not the site that matters. It is the who do you read there that matters. Are you finding and reading legitimate sources that are fact-based, evidence-based, reality-based versus left-wing delusional unicorn fart, we wish it were this way, as opposed to those of us who deal in reality, the way things are. We may not like all the time certain things the way they are, but you can't address changing something unless you're willing to acknowledge the reality of the way something is. So it's not a source. TheLibertyBeacon.com is more a right-leaning exclusive site. So if you're right-leaning, you are more than likely going to find most of the people there you like and agree with. But there will be some that you find you can't get along with. You can't blame TheLibertyBeacon.com or Before It's News or even CNN or MSNBC.com for that. It's the people that are there. Now, obviously, CNN and MSNBC, their site is pure left-wing propaganda and spin. And that's why we're talking about the leftist 7Ds. They can't deal in reality-based discussions. Instead, they either need to, again from the notes, so I don't forget one of the 7Ds, dodge, deflect, distract, distort, deny, deceive, or discredit others, as they've attempted to do to me my whole life. You can go to tinyurl.com/TheMighty200 targeted, and that will take you to a Before It's News piece about the endless censorship engaged towards me and my writings, including in 2016, Politico and Hillary Clinton literally targeting me and 199 other patriots out of the 300 million plus in America to start the whole Russian collusion, delusion, hysteria. That's right. It didn't start with Trump. They floated it with 200 Americans, calling us either Russian agents or Russian bots, and they saw it was red meat to their base, and therefore then indeed went on to the whole Steele dossier to create the Russian collusion and Trump is a Russian agent false narratives. That trial balloon, I was part of that trial balloon they floated. At any rate, again, I stated up front this was just going to be a short segment, so I urge you to go to thelibertybeacon.com, put Joseph M. Leonard without an O, in the search bar, check out Leftist 7Ds, dodge, deflect, distract, distort, deny, deceive, discredit article for much more than we've covered here, because I have a very important guest. I want to talk with Sardor Akhmedov about economics, business, and investing, putting aside Bidenomics and political pressures on economics, a Milton Friedman style reality-based economics versus a Paul Krugman Marxist. We wish it were this way. It's not, but we pretend it is form of economics. Putting all that aside, we deal with business, investment, job markets, consumerism, freedoms, but again, trying to keep aside politics, but it is indeed a reality-based discussion. Thank you, and now we will head into that interview. Take care. God bless. I am now joined by Sardor Akhmedov, and we're going to talk economics to some degree. Now, I know I've already had a couple shows on Bidenomics. This is not about that. I'm not looking to get into politics with Sardor here. But let's just have you go ahead and introduce yourself and your credentials.
Absolutely. Yep. So, my name is Sardor Akhmedov. I'm a tech entrepreneur. I co-own an agency called Jafton. We are a software and mobile app development agency specializing in mobile, more on mobile. So, been in the US for 9 years. I'm an immigrant. Came here originally as a student and stayed here after college. Well, halfway through college, I actually ended up switching to business and dropping out, but that's, a different story. I ended up staying here, getting my residency here. And it was one of the best decisions I made. I'm originally from Uzbekistan, Central Asia. It's a former Soviet Union country. So I speak Uzbek, which is similar to Turkish, and I speak Russian as well. English is my third language, and I'm also learning Spanish as a fun fact right now. So hopefully that'll be my fourth language. What else? Yeah, that's a little bit about myself. I'm a tech enthusiast, AI enthusiast. I love what I do, and my hobby is what I do around work, actually. So.
Yeah. Well, I am a former IT guy, so as full disclosure for everyone in my audience may not necessarily know or recognize that yet. But shocked to hear that somebody named Sardor is an immigrant. Right?
Right.
You mean that's not a new typical American name?
Right? Yeah, you have Sardors left and right here.
Just a little bit of fun. Just a little bit of fun. Things are so serious these days. We got to keep a sense of humor.
For sure. For sure.
The only thing overtly political I want here is that I will to say that I'm interested in talking to you from an investment perspective and entrepreneurial side of things. Obviously, you are more a free market guy as opposed to pro-capitalism, despite the fact that a Marxist term meant to be derogatory and incite people against free markets. But we are about freedom of association and freedom of property here, right? We are free to accept a job with a firm or not, rather than be told you're going to do this and you're going to do it for that state-run company, right? We are free to invest our property, money is our property, in firms we so choose, and we are free to associate or not and spend our money with, as a consumer, the firms of our choice. So clearly, again, to avoid any further politics, I think it's safe to say you're not a Marxist, but talk to us about investment in startups in this day and age.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, very interesting question. So obviously, certainly free market, pro free market, as I operate in the free market and I like to stay in the free market. But as far as the investment goes, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a professional investor. By no means would I, try to be, at least at this stage of my life, claim myself as a professional investor. I do that more of just to kind of park some of my cash in companies that I find interesting and I see potential in. One of them being Fathom AI, which is, this AI note taker actually that is on this call right now is built by that company. So, but my current, I guess, thesis investment is anything that I see big potential in, that anything is that is very early stage, that I would like to invest in, small checks, then angel investor, not anything huge. But that's my philosophy. But I try also not to do anything that's outside of my expertise, meaning, I get a lot of outreach from people that ask me to invest in some of their businesses that are outside of my expertise, some of the traditional businesses, like, it could be retail, it could be anything healthcare and whatnot. And if I don't understand it, I can't just even evaluate it properly. So
right,
it's not my cup of tea.
Right.
Yeah.
They could be great opportunities, but as they say, as an author, write about what you know, invest in what you know. You have a clue what's going on there. Then it's not a leap of faith on a feeling, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I wouldn't go anywhere I'm not an expert in. Yeah.
Now, your tag says app development agency. Now, of course, everything. I mean, I turned 61, so I'm, pretty far away from Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, whatever. But
yeah.
I mean, everything is phone. I had sprinklers put in the other day, and I chose one firm over another because I could control that system through my laptop, whereas the other firm, the names are unimportant. If you're looking at sprinklers, do your homework. Like anything you're buying, do your homework. Is only phone app based. And it's like, no, I don't want to be doing all that crap on that little screen. But reality is everything moving that direction, right?
100%. Yeah. I mean, we're living in almost a mobile only world. We used to call it a mobile first world, but that's definitely, the case, but more so even in some cases, just the mobile only. Some of the apps, you don't even have a web version of it. It's just mobile app. Everything's mobile these days, so for sure. That's why we actually pivoted more toward about 2 years ago. We pivoted to focus only on mobile because before that we were doing everything, general software development, web development, but now we're all mobile only focused because the market is just bigger and it helps to be more focused on mobile than
it's a bigger market, and also it's easier if you don't have to develop for all kinds of different platforms and operating systems, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, because if in the app world you really kind of still only dealing, correct me if I'm wrong, Android operating and Apple operating. Or
right.
Well, Microsoft is there. Google's trying to also get into that space and potentially away from Android, but it's still probably less than Microsoft, Linux, Apple, or am I wrong?
You mean like there's less types of platforms on the mobile than on the desktop? Yeah. Yeah, you're actually right. I mean, mainly on it kind of, you're right and not right at the same time, because on mobile, yes, you have two platforms, but desktop, even if whether you're on Mac or Windows right now, what's combining them both is actually what's making them platform agnostic is actually web, because most of your applications these days are being built on web as opposed to native. So almost nobody's building native Mac or Windows applications. That's a very rare thing. I'll tell you, in the history of our company, actually, we only had one project that we're building natively, and that's for Linux, for desktop, just because this software is a kiosk machine, like an ATM, where it has to process the hardware information, and the web cannot do that. So we had to do Linux. But that's a super rare case. Other than that, all of our projects are actually, web-based or mobile-based. So web is actually more platform agnostic than mobile in that case.
You read my mind with the next question and where I was going. And to hearken it back to my personal example of my sprinkler system, indeed, it's browser-based. It's not independent standalone software. So yeah, in a sense, that is the kind of one platform size fits all to go to. If you go browser based, the browser can run on any platform and your interface just has to work within. And a lot of people, I hate that they do this though. A lot of things though will say, we are only optimized to work on Chrome. And if you're using Firefox, Safari, Opera, we probably work, but no guarantees, right?
Right. But I would say, though, that's become less of a problem as Google has actually won the war on a browser, I think, because except Safari, all other browsers have conformed to Chromium. So actually what you see now, there is no such thing as Firefox or even Microsoft Edge, which they tried to bring back the Internet Explorer. Didn't work out. All they are now are just the front-end shells for Chromium, which is owned by Chrome still. So even if you're using Edge or Opera or Firefox, all of them are actually on Chromium, same engine that the Google Chrome runs on. Everything except Safari. Apple is the only one that's holding up, but everybody else had to conform because these guys, they control the web. I mean, Google is where your browsing starts, right? So they control the standards of the web in a lot of ways. So they actually intentionally bended the standards to their own liking so that these web standards, they don't work on other browsers except Chromium. So it was their way to take advantage of that unfair advantage,
Right. Well, I'm here in the Detroit area, so to liken it to automotive, right? There's a lot of parts now that it doesn't matter if you're buying a Ford, GM, whatever Chrysler currently is, a Fiat, a Renault, a Volvo, a BMW, a Porsche. Yeah. Some of those parts are pretty much all standardized coming from somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, we're living in a global economy where everything is distributed and everybody takes things from each other, which is the beautiful thing about capitalism and globalization, that we're able to offset the costs and get access to more resources and get access to more things that we can co-create with others,
Yeah. And again, that's a good thing, part of the free markets, right? The cream supposedly rises to the top. And if somebody makes a better widget than you're making that goes in your product, you're going to want that better widget to incorporate into your product. And like you alluded to, as far as standards, why it's, hate the word conformity, but I'm going to use it here because in that sense, that sense of conformity creates a sense of stability.
Oh, sure. 100%. Yeah. I mean, because you can then, there's no unpredictable things. Yeah.
Right. It's all window dressing, like you said, like Firefox still has its basic window dressing interface, and I didn't know this because I've been out of IT for a while, but Mozilla basically caved and they've got their window dressing on Google Chrome, you're saying.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, some would say for better, some would say
In a
for
way.
worse,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
in a sense, that eliminates a certain degree of competition, right?
Yes.
And
Which is not good.
competition drives innovation.
Exactly. Yeah. So to expand on that, actually, yeah, you're right. In a way, yeah, it makes it easier for developers to use one standard of web and build for web. But I actually don't like where the browser industry has been stuck on. It's Chromium is actually very difficult to build on. Very, very difficult to build on from a developer standpoint. Like there's only been a few browser startups that have succeeded in building on it. Like one of them is Brave. Brave browser is what I use, and it's amazing. Yeah, but extremely hard. Like so hard to build your own browser because of all the complexity of the Chromium, and that actually stagnates the market and stops the innovation. Like I think browsers are outdated. There's so much more innovation that you could bring to browsers. Like by the very least, the lowest hanging fruit is like combining your tabs into one. Like some of the tabs you'll have, like everybody struggles with this, I think, like having 20 tabs open. There's no categorization, there's no sorting of tabs.
Guilty.
Yeah, everybody is. Yeah, see.
Yeah, in fact,
as a matter of fact, I have like more than 20 tabs open right now. See.
Yeah. I'm looking at the bottom of my screen going across. I have 3 different Firefox windows open with multiple tabs in each window. I have 4 different Chrome windows open with multiple tabs in each of those windows. I also have 2 versions of Edge running with multiple tabs. And Opera, only 1 version of Opera with a few tabs. And same with Brave. 2 Brave windows with multiple tabs because I multitask. Being former IT, I'm always multitasking, doing different things, and I don't want all of that in one thing being unmanageable. But you alluded to this off of what I said about the lack of competition pushes people to compete, to innovate, to become that next thing. And then once a standard is reached, there becomes a degree of complacency. My word, not yours, but I think that's what you were alluding to.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ed Bondarenka, and I host Your American Heritage on Saturdays at 2 in the afternoon on this station. Your American Heritage is a show about the struggle we find ourselves in and how to react to it in the light of our biblical and American heritage. Listen to it while you're working around the house, the garage, cleaning the guns, walking the dog, driving, or just lazing around. Join me at 2 o'clock Saturdays here on Wham Radio, 1600 AM, 92.7 FM.
God bless America.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, complacency definitely is one of the outcomes of it, unfortunately, that happens in the market. And that same thing, I think, it was a lot of Google products that they have a fair advantage on, like Google Maps also, not enough innovation. And, it's so hard to switch out, or HubSpot. I hate HubSpot CRM, actually, because it's so clunky. But guess what? I cannot switch out of it easily because I could migrate my data to other CRMs, like there's Close CRM, other CRMs, but the amount of integrations they have is the biggest. Like everybody builds for HubSpot. There's a lot of consulting firms that cater around HubSpot. They have the winner's advantage. It's like, actually switching off a little bit to philosophical and religion. In the Bible, there's this verse that says, I think, something along the lines of, to those who have, more will be given. To those who don't have, more will be taken, something along those lines. And this is true in a lot of these big firms because they have so much and they get more, but that in turn creates complacency in their processes, they don't innovate. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to say about browsers and I forgot. I'm always I don't do a scripted thing, but I'm always doing notes, right? Gotta have some notes.
For sure.
And I wrote
100%.
down, showing my age here, Netscape. I love Netscape that Microsoft stole, in my opinion, allegedly. They did get $1 in the court settlement, so I guess I don't have to say allegedly. I guess it was proven in court, right? But I so would love to have Netscape back. And, but anyway, and as far as, Google Maps, I mean, that was definitely the go-to at one time, but my GPS go-to, and everyone I know now, is getting away from Google Maps and directions and GPS to get around. Waze.
Which is also owned by Google, though.
Oh, is it really? See?
Yes.
There. Aha! They got me.
You see? Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, Waze, I was thinking on the back of my head. Yeah, Waze innovated. They did a great job, but then it was acquired by Google. And yet again, has it innovated since it was acquired? No.
Right.
You see, acquisitions are also deadly sometimes. Like Slack also hasn't innovated since it's been acquired by Salesforce. When you become a part of this big corporation, like there's not much
monopolies
innovation that happens.
Cause a problem because, again, you eliminate competition, and there with it, innovation goes away. Exactly. That's what. And whenever I hear any merger or acquisition, my first thought is to be skeptical and opposed. Now, that can't. With every rule, there's an exception. Obviously, sometimes you want economy of scale, also, though, right?
Yeah,
so
more
address
address
that. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, it is more efficient from a business perspective. I think M&As are actually a very good idea to grow. Like that's actually something that's top of mind for us right now. Like we want to do a lot of M&As for ourselves to grow our business. On a smaller scale, of course, we can't acquire like huge companies, but some of our smaller competitors, to roll them up. That's our goal right now.
Absolutely. Acquisition is a lot easier than complete startup.
Oh, 100%. That was the biggest realization recently, that acquiring a stable business gives you so much more advantage over taking a risk. I mean, it's simple stats, right? Like new businesses, 75% of small businesses, I think they close down within the first 2 years, I think, or something like that, versus stable businesses. The longer something has been in existence, the longer it is likely to exist even more. I think it's called the Lindy effect, actually. It applies to everything that's non-perishable. The longer that something has been in existence, the more longer it is likely to exist.
Okay, well, as I said up front, my show is not a long one. I just recently started it, so I can't expect people to listen for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So I don't even try to push the envelope. And full disclosure, so everyone understands, I was reluctant at first to even have Sardor come on, right? Because we are a more ChristiTutionalist, politics-oriented. And as I said, had done Bidenomics episodes, but the more I thought about it, the more important I thought it was to bring Sardor on, avoid the politics, talk economics, investment, business in general, without that dichotomy. So thank you for coming on. What else would you like to impart before we go?
No, I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on this podcast. And yeah, to me, what I love about these podcasts is being able to talk to different topics. I mean, I enjoy talking, I enjoy having casual conversations like this that are not scripted are the best for me. And I had a great time. I hope if whoever listened got some new information for themselves, got some inspiration for themselves. And I really hope to come back again in the future and talk more about some of the new updates in life. And if you found this valuable, reach out to me with any questions if you want. I'm more active on LinkedIn than anywhere else. So LinkedIn can find me on
You
Sardor
read my
Akhmedov.
mind where I was going next. Now, those who are seeing this video behind the scenes sneak peek at Jay Lunder Detroit, YouTube, or Rumble, but this is a mostly audio podcast. So verbally, indeed, tell us where people can find and reach out to you.
Yep, it's all socials. It's interesting you're on Rumble. I should probably get on there as well. But that's probably the only social network I'm not on right now. But yeah, find me anywhere on socials. Most active on LinkedIn. Sardor Akhmedov, my first and last name. Search for me, you should probably see me. My company name is jafton.com. If you need a mobile application, come inquire to us. We can help you out. And if you're in Florida, we have weekly AI events every Tuesday in our office that you can come and attend. So yeah, really enjoyed being here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for having tuned into ChristiTutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. And you can obviously learn more about the very non-traditional or fluffy style Christian book, but a Christian book nonetheless. Also, please tune into Savage Unfiltered Podcast, of which I am a co-host, and be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. In addition to seeing the corresponding thelibertybeacon.com piece referenced in any episode of ChristiTutionalist Podcast, see to the show transcript on podcast platforms that provide access to it, like Buzzsprout, at tinyurl.com/ChristiTutionalist for additional bonus material there in the transcript. Thank you. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast and Savage Unfiltered. Maybe even go back a few years and dig up some old The Patriot angles. Share episodes. We need your help to grow the show.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you by Joseph M. Leonard. Order today.